Thank you to Mr. Ben Lamli and to UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon for that message. As you heard, the Secretary General, and clearly Mr. Ben Lamli as well, are truly committed to young people and making sure all your voices are heard. Now, I'd like to please welcome the Global Youth Forum co-chairs, Ms. Rishita Nandagiri and Mr. Rinaldi Ridwan. Since 2009, Rashida has worked on regional and international policy and advocacy for the Women's Global Network for Reproductive Rights. Rashida also serves on the Asian Pacific Research and Resource Center for Women's Program Advisory Committee. Rinaldi is currently a board member of the Youth Coalition for Sexual and Reproductive Rights and also works with the International Planned Parenthood Federation. He has published a book with his colleagues entitled Say Hello to Your Body, about young people's sexuality and rights. Please welcome them to the podium.
Dr. Agung Laksono, Dr. Babatunde Oshotomin, Mr. Ben Amin, honorable ministers, distinguished guests, and the amazing, dedicated, awe-inspiring youth delegates here in Bali, and those joining us from across the world, good morning. On behalf of the International Steering Committee, my co-chair Rinaldi Ridwan and I are excited to welcome you all to Bali. We thank the Indonesian government for their warm hospitality and for showing their strong belief in young people's rights by hosting this forum. We commend and applaud the Indonesian government for their strong stance and visionary leadership during the 45th Commission on Population and Development held earlier this year. They were central to the realization of a crucial resolution recognizing the sexual and reproductive rights of adolescents and youth nearly 20 years after the International Conference on Population and Development Programme of Action was written. The ICPD POA was a landmark document that shifted paradigms and introduced new approaches to development, emphasizing a strong, inclusive, rights-based approach. The POA contains important language on the active involvement of youth in the planning, implementation, and evaluation of development activities that have a direct impact on our daily lives. The ICPD's strength lies in its ability to link seemingly disparate and siloed priorities and themes, keeping human rights at the center of the discussion.
We live in an era where young people make up the largest number of young people in the history of the world. Young people are not just a bunch of numbers. We have intrinsic rights, potential, and are agents of change who participate meaningfully in the development of our world. The ICPD was key for the affirmation of young people's rights to education, employment, meaningful participation, health and well-being, as well as our sexualities. The Global Youth Forum, a part of the ICPD operational review, is a pivotal point in history. It is a youth-led space that is committed to putting youth rights at the heart of development. Participating in the Global Youth Forum is an opportunity to influence and shape the role that young people play in realizing the future we want. It places the priorities of young people, identified by young people themselves, on the agenda of key decision and policymakers, potentially shifting the very fabric of development work. The outcomes of the Global Youth Forum do not just fit into the ICPD operational review, but also influence and impact the post-2015 agendas and discussions that are currently taking place. The Global Youth Forum discussion will focus on 5 themes as identified within the ICPD POA. The 5 themes we will discuss are staying healthy, comprehensive education, promoting transitions to decent work, families, youth rights and well-being, including sexuality and leadership and meaningful youth participation. The 5 themes of the forum are the vital life choices that every young person faces. The challenges of accessing and receiving quality and comprehensive education, which enables young people to achieve their goals, including gainful and meaningful employment, leading healthy, pleasurable, and productive lives, participate actively in their communities and as citizens, as well as having autonomy over their bodies as a means to have autonomy over their lives. This entails young people enjoying and exercising their sexual and reproductive rights, including their sexualities, sexual orientation, and gender identities. Gender, not in a binary, equality, equity, and sexual and reproductive health and rights are central and foundational for any concept of sustainable development. Given the policy and political implications of the discussion and debates that will take place over the next few days, we are excited at the opportunity provided for young people to deliberate with government representatives to realize the future we want and deserve. We trust that government representatives will take this opportunity to engage with young people and listen to their thoughts, ideas, and recommendations. We urge all young people present to seize this opportunity, get your voice heard, share your opinion, and challenge not just the long-held beliefs of this is how things are done, but also one's own assumption and standpoints. Being here this week is a privilege, but it is also an indication that young people can and do speak for ourselves. It proves that when it comes to the needs, realities, and necessities of young people engagement is key. We are not just tokens, decorations, or symbols. We are not just the leader of the future, we are the leaders right now.
Young people are extremely diverse, not just in terms of age, ability, gender identity, class, race, ethnicity, sexuality, sexual orientation, culture, religious beliefs, the languages we speak, and the contexts, cultural, social, political, economic, religious, that we live in, but in what our experiences are, the access that we have to different avenues, and the ways in which power structures are a part of our everyday and how we navigate them. Young people continue to be marginalized despite comprising of 43% of the world's population. Exacerbating this marginalization are factors of gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, poverty, class, race, ethnicity, experiences with violence, HIV status, and whether you're able-bodied or not. To fulfill and achieve the program of action, our strong leadership and vision is imperative to creating much needed and lasting change. We must push for shifts on multiple levels, for recognition of long-denied rights, for the implementation of the always broken promises of policies, for the affirmation of people's autonomies, dignities, and integrities. It is imperative to challenge the specific stigma and taboo that young women face around accessing services such as abortions. Recognizing and supporting young women's autonomies, their bodily integrity, and ensuring their safety is a priority which must not be compromised upon on any grounds. We cannot ignore this reality, and we must uphold bodily integrity as a core human right. Safe abortion services, information, and support must be guaranteed and accessible to young women without fear or threat of violence, discrimination, or stigma. There are several inspiring youth-led initiatives across the world that clearly reflects a truth that needs recognizing. Young people are now being the change. We are the lucky few youth leaders who are in the BNDCC today, but we must also commemorate our peers and colleagues across the world who have continued to positively transform their communities. Peer educators and peer education sexuality and support programs play important and essential roles in communities, filling gaps in knowledge, creating necessary safe spaces, and making services more youth-friendly and accessible. The Arab Spring was lauded for how young people came out in droves to demand and claim their right to freedom and democracy, their right to exercise their citizenship. Young people in Chile took to the streets and caught our imaginations with their demands for a new framework for education and equitable access to education. Malala Yousafzai bravely confronted Talibanism by championing the education of young girls. If we are to transform our current contexts and create a more just, a more equitable future, then we must always challenge the status quo, always question the given. It is important to question the long-held ideas of that's just how it's done and ask the why. It falls on us to critique the default setting. It falls on us to realize not just the future that we want, but the very real and ever-present now.
The question is, how are you going to do that?
Terima kasih.
Thank you.